Kulima ardhi, mlango wa kulima, kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
A very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Farm Kenya show. I hope you are enjoying your beautiful Tuesday. Right here at Farm Kenya, we make sure that you're properly equipped, informed to be able to make key agriculture decisions, because at the end of the day, the goal is si kutoka block. You know, that's what young people say. The goal ni kutoka block. And one of the ways kutoka block is to be able to grow your own food and also get into the agricultural value chain. Why do I say that? Because each and every single day, people need something to eat. And that guarantees you a market if at all you place yourself somewhere in that value chain, either as a producer or, I mean, we are all consumers, but there in between there are different levels. That's why today we are discussing matters to do with horticulture, farming, and what to do, what not to do, the mistakes that a lot of beginners make, and how you can avoid that. My name is Nokip Kimboy, and welcome to this wonderful show. And today we have Mr. Duncan Kathuku, who's an agronomist, joining us for this discussion. Duncan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you. First of all, you told me that you entered into the agricultural world and being an agronomist how many years ago?
About 20 years now.
20 years?
Yes.
I mean, 20 years ago, how was agronomy in Kenya? Because all I can remember is in the agricultural value chain, there used to be lots of extension officers at our village level. They used to, have pikipikis, move around, help farmers, which these days is seldom seen. So 20 years ago vis-a-vis today, what has really changed in your field?
Many things has really changed. Like you realize those times farming was there and it has gone gradually changing because of climate, ecological concerns, and also building up of pests, diseases. So you find technology also chipped in farming. So many things have changed. How farmers used to get those extension services, today they are getting equipped with the technology and getting farming the agribusiness way, because they want to farm and get something out of it. Yes.
Definitely. People are farming, it's a business at the end of the day. And it's quite interesting because when you talk about agribusiness, we were having this discussion even before we started the show in regards to the best way to attack the market, and we're going to be coming to that. But today our focus is on horticultural farming. When you talk about horticulture, what does it entail?
Horticulture is a very broad topic, but farmers know horticulture is growing vegetables. They may not know the other things. Like you find in horticulture, we have the culture that deals with the production of vegetables and herbs. There is the other branch of pomology that is dealing with fruits and nuts. Then the other branch is, of course, ornamental. People growing flowers is also part of horticulture. But the farmers are busy doing culture, vegetables, and others are doing fruits and nuts.
I see that. So it's quite a wide area.
Very wide.
And definitely, I mean, when you want to come into horticulture with all these options that you have, somebody is seated somewhere and they're saying, I want to join the farming community. Even if it is not that I have a piece of land somewhere, is that I'm going to lease and at least I want to grow something in the horticultural sector. What are those considerations that you have to make before putting your money down as somebody who's coming into farming?
Now, when you want to consider doing farming, first, farming is like taking risk. If you want to do capsicums, you want to do vegetables, you don't have your own market. Luckily, some farmers can connect to market. But now a farmer has to consider it is a risk venture and I want to get to it. So they have to do definitely, if you want to be a farmer of this particular vegetable, go survey, know where you can sell, whether locally or even abroad. Then once you get equipped with the market knowledge, you can get to the farming. Get logistics well, because how you start, how you move on will determine what you take to the market.
Okay.
Yes.
So survey is very important, and sometimes it's very simplistic. You know, you go around, ask a few places where you see a product that you intend to grow or you're growing, and you ask, where do you source this? Can I supply you? Is there a practice that is assured to help you prosper and get it right at the survey level? How do you do a proper survey to make sure that by the time you're putting, you know, you're starting to till your land, you are very sure that the survey that you've done is proper and is not something that will shift? And do farmers do surveys wrong?
Some do wrong. Probably they are fed information. Others do it right, they get it right. So, of course, you have to till your land, you have to do the preparation. Now, the other part of knowing where to sell or where will I take my produce, you have to be keen. Select a produce, because you cannot be a farmer of all vegetables. You cannot be a farmer of all fruits or whatever. So you have to select a few. I want to do broccoli, I want to do cauliflower. Now, on that line, go look for market, survey. But now the surveying is also is a big task, because you go looking for market, you don't have the produce yet. So you go to the market, you survey, you get discouraged. So now you have to get back. You farm your produce. So what happens by the time your produce is like 50% ready for the market, that is the best time you can start doing the surveying. I have broccoli ready in 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. That is the time you can survey. Otherwise, you cannot end to the market to survey when even the goods, the vegetables are not there.
Okay.
You can start in a little way, do the survey. As you get to the market, now you can go commercial, but you have to start slowly, get to the market. Let people know you. Let the market, the buyers know you by broccoli. Let them know you by tomatoes. So by the time you get to the market, you started with like 20 kilos. Now you can be able to get orders of tons, because you already have the market.
Okay. You know, that's interesting, because one of the interesting farming practices that I've seen, especially these capsicums, because we're going to come to capsicums later on. Sometimes you find people really finding it difficult, and I don't know whether it's the glut in the market, overproduction, or failure to sort of plan yourself when you are supplying your product. Because I've seen people make losses. You have products, you did your market survey, now you have loads of capsicums. There is nowhere to sell them, so it forces you to start now, you know, approaching. I meet you and I'm like, Duncan, you look like somebody who eats capsicum. Shika by force, you know, as long as I recoup some of the money. So is there a way that you align your survey to be able to take advantage either of the low seasons, if possible, if you're doing irrigation? How do you plan yourself around that so that you avoid having products that are not being off-taken, even if you've done proper market study?
One thing as a farmer, you have to have quantity, you have to have quality. Then the other thing, you have to be available. Meaning, you have to produce consecutively for you to flow in the market. So the other thing, you have to be very sensitive to the change of market, to the season. Like if you are producing like watermelon, you can't plant, prepare watermelons and harvest when it is very cold. You'll find the market messy for you. The same like cabbages, sometimes you find cabbages flowing onto the market because farmers don't take time. Although our rain patterns don't go with the wish of farmers, but you have, if you are growing a certain produce, you have to know, I am planting this time of the year. This is when I expect to harvest. This is when that produce will have high demand. Again, because we have also other produce flowing from other countries. Like at times we have onions flowing from Tanzania, other produce coming from Uganda, and they flood our market. The only thing that our farmer will benefit is to be all through in the market. I was in the market when capsicum was 2 shillings. When it is 80 shillings, I am still in the market. When it is 200 shillings, you are still in the market. So you don't miss the season. So when you start growing, you have to grow and be there like all times.
But does that require now scale, considering that the average farmer is a small scale farmer? So when you talk about being all through in the market, is that a requirement of scale? Is that a requirement of taking advantage of seasonality? Talk to me about that.
For you to be there in the market all through, you have chosen to do like spinach. You want to produce spinach all through. Now, the issue of scaling comes on the demand in your market. You find in January I'm selling like 200 kgs. Going on, the demand peaks. You reach a place you cannot even supply, you have like your capacity is 500, then demand is 700. So the scaling goes hand in hand with the market. How you scale goes in line with the demand. So you have sometimes the demand, you are even you might be forced to even buy from other farmers to sustain your market, because you might be having a small piece of land. So if you can only produce 500 and your market is 700, you have to source the 200 because you have to be in the market all season.
Okay.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. I like that. Now, with the market research, first of all, making sure that you're consistently in the market, very important. Having a market, very important. For somebody who wants to come into horticulture, Kenya is quite diverse, and despite the climate change challenges that we're going through, the erratic weather patterns that are very unpredictable, still there are areas that have particular forte. Like when I talk about fruits, for example, mangoes, what comes to mind? Ukambani area.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
When I talk about carrots, what comes to mind? Which area?
The cool areas like areas of Nyandarua, Limuru.
Exactly.
Yes.
The Kinangops of this world.
Yes.
All right? Potatoes. In terms of that consideration also, I know we are in an age of doing, irrigation, doing, the what are they called, greenhouses.
Yes.
All these are innovations sort of to counter and to create an environment where you can grow throughout the year. But with that not being too available, especially for small scale farmers, how would you advise in terms of choosing to go into a particular crop vis-a-vis the location where they exist in the country?
Now, remember I told you something about quantity and something also about quality. Now, you find a farmer who is producing tomatoes in a greenhouse. They are very okay, quality is okay, and very clean. Another farmer is doing it in a very cold area and the tomatoes are not good. So you find even in the market, how you present your produce will determine your sales. So you find that farming is diversity, because that is why people have irrigation where rains have failed. Others have greenhouses where they want to do all-round farming. When it is cold, when it is hot, so they can do the farming. Now you find sometimes a farmer, you find the other factors that makes a farmer not to make it. That's why some are only doing food for their table. They don't talk about the market. As long as they produce for their sustainability, that's fine with them. Those who are now doing it as business, it's you to choose. If I cannot do carrots in the area of where I want to do farming, you think of contracting or leasing farm. If it doesn't work, how do you do it? So a farmer has to be confined to where they want to do the business. If you want, like, if you start selling cauliflower, you find cauliflower, the market goes hand in hand with the broccoli. You need to have some cucumber, you need to have something else. Now, it reaches a point you partner. You may not really be necessarily you grow all of them. You can partner with other farmers. I have a farmer in Nyandarua doing carrots. I am the market. Let them supply to me. You have the other market which requires all the vegetables. So if you cannot do, like you are confined because of either climate, rain patterns, or even you cannot afford irrigation, because irrigation is also very intensive in terms of money, and the farmers cannot afford. So even we have people at the market who are not farmers. They only buy and sell. You know the issue of brokers. So they go and buy. They are selling everything. They own the market, yet they are not farming. So a farmer who has land, has water, like water is key. I normally tell farmers, if you don't have water, don't think about farming, because you will end up doing it.
It's quite interesting, because today we were actually launching the Global Hunger Index 2024, and part of the discussion, because they're talking about achieving zero hunger. So this means food security and boosting production. One of the challenges in Kenya has been that our soils have really been beaten to the core. And one of the challenges they mentioned in that regard is that everyone is sinking a borehole, and then they start watering their farm. And sometimes you sink a borehole, since majority of actually our land is not arable, I think only 20%. You find that you sink your hole, then you draw, sometimes it's salty water, which was safe there. And one of the gentlemen speaking at this particular launch noted that we've really destroyed our soils. So we really need to do proper soil testing and sampling. Talk to me about some of these things that we do as maybe first-time farmers. We come so excited, I've gotten the market, I'm ready to plant, and I end up even harming myself, or in the long run not being so very good to the environment and the soil in general.
Now, sometimes those years back, farmers thought when you apply fertilizers, you damage the soil. So you find some farmers who are not even producing because they didn't know. So years later, the issue of soil testing and analysis came. It became a requirement in farming, because for you to grow quality capsicum, you have to understand your soil. So a farmer has to do the soil analysis to understand. my soil needs this certain fertilizer so as to produce capsicum. That other soil requires this fertilizer so as to produce. So now the farmer gets equipped with information. So they have to test the soil to know this soil doesn't have potassium, doesn't have magnesium, doesn't have those, and others have diseases. Like you cannot grow tomatoes in a soil that is infested by bacterial wilt. So the farmer has to have that information before you get into the farming, because even sinking the ball is too expensive. So farmer has to understand those basics. Soil testing is very key, because these crops, they only communicate whether they are doing well or not doing well once you check with your eyes. The soil doesn't even communicate. It is the time you plant, you see your tomatoes are wilting, you start saying, oh, you never tested your soil. So you started the wrong way.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have to start right. Those
You have
basics.
to start right, the basics. How is the soil? You understand your soil. Micro elements, micronutrients, micro elements, macro, all of them. So as to know, I require this fertilizer. My soil requires compost manure. I need manure because the organic components are very low. When you understand the soil, now get to, because water is also a component in the feeding. Do I have water? Can I get into the farming? Yes.
Definitely. Do you think a lot of farmers, since majority of farmers in our country are smallholder farmers, those are the farmers that feed us, how often do you think they involve the services of agronomists and specialists in the field? And based on that, if at all they are not very eager to involve professionals, do you think that is having impact on our productivity as a country?
Yes, it has an impact, and of course a negative impact, because a farmer will go and buy seeds, for example, takes the seeds to plant them in a soil that is infested either by pest or by disease, or that soil has some deficiency of some nutrients. Like you find maize requires soil that has a lot of sulfur, which is a very rare element you might even think of. Is a heavy feeder of sulfur. So a farmer grows. So what do they end up? Because they expected the produce would not be even fine. They end up even blaming the seed supplier. So now a blame game begins there. So it has a very negative impact. It is important for farmers to get that information, either from agronomists. We have agricultural extension officers all over. You can even visit the offices. Then you can get information. Because all what you are doing, you are sinking money into the soil and you expect to harvest.
Definitely. So get the help of specialists.
Yes.
Which is very important, because you know, I think farming is one of those areas where there is high risk, high reward.
Yes.
So sometimes it demands a lot from you, but also the likelihood of messing everything up is so easy as you know, having infected soil, not properly tested soil, yeah, which is very, very important. And even as before we go for a break, talking about also farmers and the way we are adopting and utilizing information, because information is power. These days everyone has a smartphone at one point or another. Not everyone per se, but a lot of people have smartphones. And there is self-education, which I think it's a very important thing. And there's risk of misinformation. Do you think when it comes to new farmers wanting to come into horticulture, do you think there are areas where they are misinformed, some of those common practices that you've observed with farmers, and they're like, oh, that is wrong from a specialist point of view?
Yes, to come on that, I happened to be one of the authors of agribusiness, kilimo biashara. So we were drawn from different institutions to go and communicate, put forward how farmers can be empowered through agribusiness. So that aspect of misinformation. So we managed, and luckily I managed to be the best informer. So I gave all the information I had. Now, farmers get very wrong information and they end up even giving up. You go to an agrovet, and because you didn't have information either from an agronomist, you don't have a service provider, you go to an agrovet, you say, I have, my vegetable has this problem. So you are told, this is the current chemical that can kill all the pests. You buy. So you go and spray. The following day, the pests are even destroying more, much than it was. You are told, this is the crop that has a demand in the market. So you run buy seed, go and plant. When you harvest, the market is not there. So you have to get the right information.
Yes.
So that you can also time season when to do what.
All right.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's very, very important. You are talking, this is this is the silver bullet of all problems in your farm, and you realize now, actually, somebody wanted to make money out of you, which is very, very important. Right now, we want to take a short break. We are discussing matters of horticultural farming, and we've started from a general point of view where you, as a new farmer, you're coming into this world of farming, and these are the questions that you ask: where, market, some of the mistakes that new farmers make, you know, very, very important. We'll take a short break right here at the Farm Kenya Show. When we come back, we go specific into some of the products that you can venture into, the risks and the rewards in those particular products lines. But for now, Farm Kenya Show takes a short break. We'll return with more.
Wa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa mkulima kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kuulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya. wa ardhi, mlango wa mkulima kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kukulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
All right, welcome back to the Farm Kenya show. We are discussing matters horticulture farming and how you can do it properly. Here at Farm Kenya, we make sure that you're properly equipped to be able to go into these ventures, because it's you and me that will create this concept that we have of food security in this country. And we can't do that if at all we are not getting proper information and implementing this information in our farms and our ventures. In studio, we have Duncan Kathuku, who's an agronomist who's teaching us how to properly go into actually horticulture and agriculture in general. So, Duncan, maybe I'd like to stand so that I can just move around, and if you can stand with me slightly there. We have quite a number of products here.
Yes.
I told you once I saw the rack of products, one of my favorites is this one.
Capsicum.
Capsicum. Capsicum, first of all, I've told you the risk when it comes to capsicum. I've met too many people who've had a challenge with capsicum, and it seems to be with market. When they are producing, it just happens that it's not being off-taken as it should. I don't know, is it an observation that you've seen, or is it just me?
People have different perspectives about these vegetables.
Okay.
So if you love capsicum as a farmer and you want to do capsicum, just get things right and you'll end up having such a beautiful fruit. This one attracts the market itself. If you go out with this, then the market is speaking for itself.
So when it comes to capsicum, what are you doing right, and what is the common wrong that a lot of people do when they go into capsicum farming?
The common wrong first, people don't buy viable seed. You have to know the seed you are buying for your capsicum. Like these ones are colored. Soon they will be turning yellow or red. You have to buy a viable seed from a good supplier that you trust with your farming. Then the other thing you need to get right, you have to follow all the good agricultural practices. Know what capsicum requires. Feed it properly, because it's a heavy feeder. You have to know when to supply what. Because of different stages, it requires different nutrients.
Okay.
So you have to know when to supply what, at what time. You have to know what are the pests of capsicum, what are the diseases, so that you can cover them. Then you end up getting it right.
Okay.
Yes.
How long does capsicum get to mature from planting to market?
Nursery, it takes about 21 days to about 35 days, depending on how you break dormancy of the seed. After transplanting, within, if you are doing green capsicum, after transplanting around 2.5 months, they are ready for selling. If you are doing colored, from 3 months, exactly 90 days, if you are a serious farmer, they will already be turning the color, whether it is red, yellow, or even summer orange. Yeah.
I see that. So within 3 months.
3 months, exactly.
Okay. And you've said the seed quality is of
The
absolute
seed is very important. Yeah.
Okay. And this issue of fake seeds, because it's been there for a minute in the agricultural sector, the challenge of fake seeds. Does that hurt capsicum value chain in one or another? Do we have either substandard or fake seeds?
The issue with the fake seed, because there are farmers who, when this capsicum is mature, they split, they remove the seed, so they end up doing another, breeding of seed. So what happens, you are like, this is very hard, so you might end up getting a capsicum with, this one has 3 lobes, these are the lobes,
Okay.
that one has 4.
Yes.
So you might end up, there are farmers, there are suppliers, like when you go to the Indian market, they look at the lobes. They will tell you, I need red capsicum with 3 lobes, but you used a fake seed. The other one, if you use a fake seed, by the time your capsicum is about 2 months, 2.5 months, the fruit is very soft, so you will not even harvest, because by the time they are ready, they are turning color, they start getting scorched by the sun, so you will not even harvest.
I've seen those in the market.
Yeah, that is a problem. They get scorched because the seed, actually, it had no viability. Yeah.
I see that. Is there, because I don't know whether it's superstition or it is a fact, an agricultural fact and a scientific fact, that there are those that are considered bitter and others sweet just by looking. I don't know, some people gender them, male capsicum, female capsicum.
This is sweet. This is sweet pepper. So if it actually, even when it is green, it is sweet.
Okay.
You can take this for salad if you like green. If you like colored, they are sweet. So we have the hot chili. They are in the same family. We have the hot chili. That is hot. Yes.
So in terms of capsicum themselves, especially those who pick in the market and start looking at, oh, this one, hii ni kali. Anayangalia hivi anasema, hii ni kali.
They know, like, okay, we have these capsicums, there is that, these are the sweet type, the sweet pepper. There is another type which is not very sweet, has another scent. You can't take it for salad because it is not sweet. It's not hot, not sweet. You won't enjoy the taste. Yes.
And this,
those are the local green capsicums.
okay.
Yes.
All right. I see that. That's kind of interesting.
But they are the best in terms of spicing food. The scent is very nice. Yeah.
I see that. So capsicum, very important. Get the right seeds.
Yes.
Feed it properly.
Yes, you
Okay.
have to feed properly.
Yes. And after that, market. They just attract the market.
This one, the market is speaking for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of Kenyans are eating capsicums, man. Very, very interesting. Let's move into a different vegetable, of which have just been stung.
That is aubergine.
This one.
Yes.
Talk to me about this
It has
vegetable.
many names. It's an Indian vegetable. It has many names. You can call it eggplant. You can call it aubergine.
And this one, I
Many
mean,
farmers know it as mbiringanya. That is
biringanya.
the common name. Mbiringanya.
Okay.
Very nutritious. Most liked by the Indians. I think we Africans, we don't like it. But it's a very nutritious fruit.
Okay.
It's a fruit, it's a vegetable, very nice.
In terms of market demand, you've said
It's very demanding in the Indian market.
Okay.
Nutrition, it has a lot of calcium, very nice in calcium and vitamins.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for this one, I know you talk about the Indian market. Is this export or Indian spaces
Even
within
locally,
the country?
locally.
Locally.
Locally, very marketable.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So when it comes to biringanya, first of all, are we having many farmers do this crop? Or is there a niche? You know, there are those crops that are still, there is so much opportunity and space to come and step into.
This one, you won't find many farmers doing it. You can only find farmers with maybe a specific market, because it is not all over sold. It is not eaten by many people. But if you have a specific market, you can go into farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So issue is you get your market and
That's
you're
why I
ready.
said you identify a product, where is the market, who are the consumers, then you can grow.
Aha. I see that. Rich in calcium. Once try to make it.
It's very
And
nutritious.
I think it's a quiet test as much as it's very nutritious. For this one,
Yes.
how do you do it right? In terms, is it similar with our capsicum here or totally
This one
different?
is actually is a simple vegetable to grow. You only need to have your land prepared properly. Then you is a friend of a pest called red spider mites. So if it is attacked by spider mites, you may not harvest. So that is the only enemy you need to take care of. They will grow fast. They don't have much, management. So this one, even local farmers who have market for it are farming.
And how long before it matures?
This is 2.5 months. Yeah.
2.5 months.
Yeah.
And by the way, even going back to the capsicum, in terms of the threats to capsicum, when it comes to pests and
Yes.
diseases, what popularly hurts capsicum value chain?
This one, especially like pest, we have, there is a pest called thrips. They attack this one at flowering stage. If you don't control at that stage, you may not harvest. The other one, your fruits will be having so many marks. This one is very smooth, very shining, so the pest was controlled at the right time. The other one is even the spider mites. When a farmer is doing these things, you have to do something like crop rotation. Crop rotation along the family line. Capsicum, biringanya in the same family. So don't plant capsicum, rotate with biringanya. Rotate with something else because of building up of pest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very important. So you have to be wary of the pests and be careful.
And disease.
And diseases.
Biggest enemy disease-wise of this one is bacterial wilt. If you plant capsicum in a soil that has bacterial wilt, it may, endure for some time. You may harvest, but you will be very disappointed.
Okay.
Tomatoes will not survive. By the time they start ripening, they start dying. You may not harvest. That's why you have to start right soil testing.
Definitely.
Yes.
And talking about tomatoes, these are very big, very nice. Everyone wants to go to Narok, lease some land and plant some tomatoes. For tomatoes,
Yes.
very popular in Kenya. In terms of doing tomatoes right,
Yes.
how do we enter into tomato farming?
Tomatoes, I said when farmers hear about horticulture, they think about tomatoes, sukuma wiki, cabbage. So tomato is a very also easy crop to farm. It requires a lot of feeding. Then requires, you also control pest. You have to know every crop, identify its enemy. You have to know its enemy. And at what time, at what point do you need to deal with the enemy? So you have to be very sensitive. Like tomatoes, as I said, you cannot grow tomatoes in a soil infested with bacterial wilt. That is okay. The other enemy of tomatoes, whether in the greenhouse or in open field, there is this pest. It didn't used to be there those times of those extension services. So now we have another pest called tutor absoluta. That one is knocking tomatoes 100%. So you can get 100% loss tomatoes.
Tutor?
Absoluta.
It sounds like a legal term. It absolutely obliterates tomatoes.
It can actually destroy the crop 100%. So if you are going to tomato farming, know the enemy. As much as you have to know the basics in feeding, know the enemy.
Okay.
And at what point do I need to control the enemy? Because you need money out of it.
When do you make sure that you contain tutor absoluta?
You have to start from the nursery, because it starts by attacking the leaves. Once it's done with the leaves, it attacks the fruit. So it's a journey. You have to start from the nursery.
Okay.
Yes.
Nursery is very important. So we have close to 3 minutes to closure. Let's talk about the leafy products.
That is spinach.
Spinach.
Yes.
Spinach is in the same family as sukuma wiki.
Yes, they are leafy vegetables. Sukuma wiki, spinach. Yeah.
What do farmers, because it seems one of those easy ones. You plant, you wait, it grows, you pack. And what are some of the misconceptions around spinach and the whole family of leafy vegetables that maybe farmers come into it and they think it's going to be this way, but actually it's the other way around?
This one, you have, if you are doing it, you have to get back quantity, because you cannot enter in the market if you don't have quantity. Because you harvest it today, they have to regrow. So you need to have quantity of it, even sukuma, even the other local vegetables. And they move very fast. So you have to have them healthy, you have to have quantity, and make sure they have good quality.
Okay.
This one is like a one-shop vegetable. It moves very fast. Yeah.
What are the biggest threats to this?
One of the biggest threats to spinach is there is a pest in the soil called root nematodes. Once it's attacked by nematodes, you cannot harvest even for 2 weeks. It dies completely. Yes. So you'll harvest and they don't regrow. So you harvest today, they don't regrow. You harvest next week, they are not regrowing, and it dies completely.
So protection against root.
You have to fumigate your soil. You do soil fumigation before you start farming. Then after you fumigate, from there you can do crop rotation along family lines. If it was spinach, do away with the spinach, plant another crop that can attract the nematodes. Do the legumes like French beans or even normal beans to be able to contain the pest. Yeah.
And now, Dan, as we wrap up this conversation, especially those who want to come into farming, there's always that fear of how much am I putting into it? Do I have enough money or don't I have enough money? And we understand where a lot, especially as young people, we want to come into agriculture heavy.
Yes.
Now, start small, then grow. How can you, what is a budget? Give us some sort of budget using an example of one of the vegetables that a young man with their little cash and their small space of land can actually start into this.
Like we had onion.
Onion.
Now, seeds of quality vegetables are very expensive. So you have to know, if I want, you can start slowly. Seeds of spinach are very cheap. Seeds of cucumber, the local cucumber, are not expensive. You find seeds of these quality capsicum and tomatoes are very expensive. Start with the locally affordable seeds, but farm them properly. If you want to do capsicums and you can't even afford the seed, you can grow spinach. Bearing in mind, I will rotate with capsicum.
Yes.
Then the income you get from this, make sure you properly utilize it so that you can upscale to another crop.
Okay.
Yes.
So start small at the end of the day.
Yes.
If you can't afford one, start with an alternative,
Yeah.
which is very, very important. And in your parting shot, even as we finish, in regards to what can transform and sort of skyrocket, because as a country, we are net importers of food.
Yes.
Yeah, and that is a very difficult place to be, because anything happens, Russia and Ukraine happens, all of a sudden food prices are changing here.
Yeah.
Like, we can't feed our population internally. If Kenya is to be locked today,
Yeah.
it becomes a problem here. So talk to me, is there hope, especially being in agronomy for 20 years, is there hope of Kenya being able to feed itself? And what are those gaps that we need to fill, if at all we're gonna be net exporters instead of net importers of food?
It is possible for Kenyans to feed themselves. Most of our land is farmland. The only difficult or problem, the big challenge, farmers cannot access to the best seed. They cannot access the best chemicals. They cannot access the best inputs.
Okay.
So if they can access to those inputs, seed, whatever, chemicals, our land can produce and feed our nation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Duncan. This
Thank
was a
you.
good conversation.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate.
Thank
Duncan Kathuku is an agronomist, and he says there is hope, but understand your crop, make sure that you are able to protect your crop, and most importantly, do your market research so that you're not growing for yourself and for the soil after it decomposes, but being able to take your products to get market, because at the end of the day we have to sell these products and make sure that there is demand. But that's been our conversation today on matters horticulture farming, and thank you very much for being part of the Farm Kenya show over the past 1 hour. I really appreciate your input and your participation. My name is Noki Kimboy. Keep it KTN, but for now we are out. Asante sana.
Unalima ardhi, mlango wa kulima, kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kukulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu.